Hi, I'm Phil Richards. We're at the Juno Lighting Group Remote Idea Lab Studios, and today we're going to talk about our installation of a flush mount adapter and trim. At the end of this presentation, you will see why this is such a popular application. The architectural effect of the beautiful unbroken ceiling, just barely punctuated by the nearly invisible apertures of the fixtures, is a look that folks are really grabbing onto today. The key is the adapter. While this accessory may not look like anything special, it's actually the product of a year's worth of extensive testing. Testing on this and 8 other manufacturers' flush mount systems, and critiqued by a professional drywall finisher. All 8 of the competitive fixtures and this one were placed on a false ceiling and lamped with halogen lamps, cycled on and off for 12 hours a day. Some of them cracked in a few days, some of them cracked in a few weeks, but they all cracked, except for the JLG version. The adapter is a very thin cast aluminum. You can see that it has a lattice work casted in and a wavy edge. The lattice work creates tiny pockets which hold the compound, and if there might be a bubble or a fault, it cannot spread to the next adjacent cell. Likewise, the wavy edge prevents cracking because cracks tend to follow straight lines, not wavy lines. You can see around the aperture where the trim goes, it's just a flat piece, and that flat piece can be used as a trowel guide to help level that out. We want to take that compound and spread that out about 10 to 12 inches across the ceiling to give us a level 4 or 5 grade finish. Let's get started. We have our housing installed. Our drywall has been installed over our housing. And here we're looking at a paint shield and ceiling leveler guide that we'll use. And you can see that protects our aperture from getting any kind of paint or finishing compound inside of the aperture. Our procedure begins with cleaning around the aperture just with a damp cloth to remove any plaster dust or debris that might be left over from our original drywall installation. Next, we want to do a dry fit test with the adapter and put that right over that plaster frame on the housing just to make sure that it slips all the way up in there and that there's sufficient room to go all the way to the ceiling. Next, we'll remove the adhesive release liner and take that piece and set it aside. And then we'll push that up around the plaster frame and press that in place for a minimum of 5 seconds, just to make sure that it's really on there very, very securely. Next, we'll apply 2 very thin coats of joint compound, sanding in between coats and making sure that they're dry in between coats, using the edge of the adapter as a trowel guide to feather that out for about 10 to 12 inches past the border where it's got the wavy edge to ensure a level 4 or 5 grade installation. Lastly, we'll apply a final coat of finished plaster, sand, prime, and paint. Remember, the edge of the aperture only gets primer and paint. Our paint is dry. Now we're ready to install our trim. First, I'm going to remove our paint shield and depth gauge off the ceiling, revealing a very nice clean aperture. There may be a little bit of drywall mud or paint that needs to be cleaned out. It's easily removed with a utility knife. Don't worry about scraping the cast aluminum. I'll insert the trim now, and I'm going to press that gently, inserting those tabs into the slots, and you can see that comes perfectly flush with that ceiling. Just a beautiful architectural effect there. So our trim has been installed, our installation is complete, and if you want that finishing touch, you can always go back and use that same ceiling paint on the trim to match the ceiling perfectly. That's our installation of the flush mount adapter in drywall. I'm Phil Richards for Juno Lighting Group, and remember, It's all in the lighting.